G'day bird nerds, g'day plant nerds. I'm Grant. I am a bird nerd and a plant nerd. I'm joined today by Loz. Loz is a rainbow lorikeet who turned up at my place on New Year's Eve, and he just hangs around, keeps me in touch with the bird world. Today, I just wanted to do a bit of a quick stream. I'm struck by the amount of people in my locality who, when they move into a new place, they just, before they start their renovations, they just rip out every piece of vegetation. I don't know. I don't know if whether that's what they decide they're going to do, or whether the builders tell them that's the cheap way to deal with things, or that they employ a landscaper who has very little imagination about retaining standing and existing vegetation. But it got me thinking about people who are in a situation like me, in a small, looks like it's a detached house, but it's essentially a small unit in a group of similar dwellings with very small backyards and not much opportunity to plant a garden. And people who live in apartments with balconies, or maybe not even that, maybe only windows. How do you do your bit for preserving biodiversity and being a habitat gardener at the same time? Good on you, Loz. Good on you. Yeah, good on you. And I think what you can do is sort of take ownership and stewardship, even if not officially, to any patch of ground nearby you that you are attached to and that is important to you. One of the things I'm doing, because in my area, the local council seems hell-bent on reducing bushes, anything in the lower level of vegetation, out of all of the parks. So what I do, I go and collect some seed, and then I'll propagate from that, and then I will offer that to members of the bird emergency to start with, so you can actually get in on that. If you're in Australia, I can't send plants overseas. You'll have a different option for if you're overseas. Maybe I can send you a book, or maybe some merch as part of that membership tier. And the easiest way to get onto that is to go to the Bird Emergency /coffee, or the Bird Emergency /Patreon, and that will let you support the show, but also avail yourself of some plants to either plant at your place, share with your neighbours, plant on nature strips, whatever ground you have access to. So let's go through a short list of what anybody can do to be a habitat gardener. You can look at the wonders of the green screen there with Loz. What you can do is first take an interest and a sense of ownership or stewardship over some patch of land, and then try and maintain or increase the biodiversity of that patch of land. So and you have to be aware of what is on that land and what is using that land. Insects use it. Butterflies will be visiting if there's any sort of flowering plant. You'll have invertebrates. Maybe those invertebrates are encouraging mammals to visit and feed. Maybe it's a foraging area for birds. And at this point, I don't want to be talking about desirable and undesirable birds or animals. I'm just looking first at that idea of biodiversity, that we need to maintain or increase biodiversity. Desirable species is a different conversation that we can tackle afterwards. But first, I just want to see habitat for the creatures that we recognise and value. Oh, Loz, where are you going? It doesn't like landing on the keyboard. Is important. You can grow all sorts of plants that will increase biodiversity in your area. Vegetables and herbs are useful for insects. They're feed sources. Same for birds. If you get snails, well, guess what? There's birds that eat snails. Grasses. There's birds that eat grasses. There are mammals that eat grasses. There are insects that will harvest the seeds. So just think about growing something that you are not growing now. And if you have public open space near you, visit it regularly. Try and protect it. If people are using it as a place where they dump rubbish, or that they, vandalising trees and bushes is a really big problem around here. If you see groups of people who are becoming rowdy in that kind of space, sometimes just going and sitting there and reading a book is a protective action. So, or as I do, I go over there and film my first seen and heards and other musings. So that can help. But grow something. Just grow something. Oh, what's behind you there? That's really interesting. It makes me invisible. I like that. Oh, look at that! I've got some Facebook love. Hello, Donna. Long time no see. I hope you are fine after the 2 typhoons that ripped through the Philippines. Good on you, Loz. Good on you, Loz. I might add, if you would like to do some practical assistance for people who have been affected by, some of my friends have been affected by 2 typhoons within a month in the Philippines, and I've been directly supporting them. Getting aid to people in the Philippines is very inefficient. If you would like to assist me to assist them, a membership is a very, very, very good idea. Buy me a coffee, Patreon, and Substack, and you can also just donate direct on YouTube, through PayPal, and checking my socials is the best way to do that, or head over to thebirdemergency.com, where I have a support page that will be live tonight. So thebirdemergency.com/support. And I think also birdemergency.com/join. Anyway, the point wasn't to do an ad today. You're very excitable there today, Loz. Grow something in pots if you don't have a garden. If you do have a garden, Plant something new. Every month, try and plant one thing that will be useful for the birds and animals and insects that are in your area. Or be even more proactive. Make a list of what you would like to encourage. It can be long or it can be short, but maybe it includes bees, butterflies, beetles, and birds. And then you can extend out from there. Which birds? Which butterflies? Which bees? Which beetles? Or maybe you've noticed that there are some possums around. Well, possums need hollows, so maybe a nest box, an artificial hollow would be a useful thing. Birds like loz breed in hollows in nature. If all the hollows have been removed from your area, perhaps invest. Build a nest box. Build a shelter, a roosting shelter for mammals, or purchase one from one of the great companies like Habitat Innovation. Or if you have a big mature trees that you could maybe create a hollow in, look for someone such as the guys at Hollow Hog who will hollow out, excavate a hollow for you in a mature tree. So there are proactive things to do. I would recommend we've covered lots of interesting topics on the stream before. Coming up this weekend at 9:30 a.m. Saturday, Australian Eastern Daylight Time, I'm going to run through another calendar, flowering calendar for nectar feeding birds like loz here, and a range of easy to find trees and shrubs that will provide feed for nectar feeding birds for a whole year. And as part of that project, I'm going to try and vary the colours that are available too. So join us for that. I don't even want to accept that people can't plant anything, because you can always put something in a pot. There's always something you can do. And we're losing biodiversity at such a rate now in cities and towns. Hello YouTube, well done joining in now. Just let us know where you are from, and we can maybe I can structure my comments towards your location. No matter where you are, you can plant something, and pots are amazing. Herbs are a great place to start. Flowers and seeds. Look for things that flower and seed. If you have grasses growing nearby, well, protect them, because birds feed on the seeds, insects feed on the leaves, and then of course other creatures will eat the things that feed on the seeds. I should have mentioned yesterday, I saw a pair of Australian hobbies displaying around yesterday, and in very close to where they were, I found some bits of a dismembered pigeon. So the birds are coming in and they're utilising what is around. Now, I would love it if the pigeons that were here weren't introduced species, but we do still have one native species here. But the pigeons provide food for something else. I'm rambling a bit because I'm getting so frustrated by the increasing levels of destruction that people in suburbs are doing, and they don't have to do it. You don't have to rip out every stick of vegetation when you buy a new property, or if you are improving your garden. If you are going to remove one or two mature trees and leave no mature trees, you really need to think about what you are replacing them with. And people are just not planting trees that will become large trees and offer opportunities for feeding and nesting opportunities for mammals and birds anymore in most suburbs. And I think we really need to start to guide that thinking, but also to shame the people who continually are involved in what I think now is real. It's worse than vandalism. It's willful destruction of an important asset for everyone in cities and suburbs, and that is the wildlife around you. So let me go back to my point. Look at find an area that has birds and animals and insects using it, and adopt a standpoint for yourself that you are a protector and a user and an appreciator of that area. Try and help the local authorities keep it in good order if you can, and plant something. If you can't plant something at your place, plant something in a common area that will be valuable for that area. If there are no large trees, buy something, preferably a local species of plant, and plant it. If it's an area that obviously has design considerations, well, then talk to the land managers and ask them what is happening. And that might be your local council. Using the example of the Philippines, it might be the barangay. Maybe it's a provincial body that is in charge of it. But do something proactive, because Loz's relatives live around here, and they're one of the birds that is becoming more common in many suburbs. It's a highly adaptable species, but he's got some cousins, other lorikeets, purple-crowned lorikeet, scaly-breasted lorikeet, little lorikeet, purple-crowned lorikeet here in the southern areas of Australia. I don't think they're increasing in numbers, and they need large flowering trees, eucalypts and corymbias and others, but that's the bulk of them. They need them in large numbers, and they need hollows. So you can provide those for a bird like that. Who have we got here? Comment. Hello, Janice. Hi, Janice. Nice to see you again. Haven't seen you for a while in the streams. Environmental vandalism is rife and seems to go under the radar. Who is there to enforce punishment of it? Well, Janice, you and I both know that whenever somebody comes into any form of management in government, any level of government, the first thing they want to do is reduce cost. So that means most of the active managers and maybe the enforcement officers, there's less of them. And also people, this is a big problem, and this is where I'm going to keep talking about what you can do in your local area and how you can adopt an attitude of stewardship. People Often people will do damage in terms of destroying mature um, vegetation just because they think it's my land or it's my place, I can do what I want. Think of all those people who cut down trees and shrubs in parks or coastal foreshore areas on the coast because they want a view and they think they can. And the enforcement officers might issue them a fine. But the people who should be really enforcing a code of behaviour that uh, doesn't lead to environmental vandalism are their neighbours and their peers and their family and their friends. So that's what I mean about adopt an area and try and protect it, and don't tolerate crap. People around here often dump rubbish in the park and along the nature strip round the park at my place. I don't often see them, but when I do, I march straight over and give them an earful. And depending on who they are and how big they are, I will put the rubbish back in their trailer or in front of their car so they can't drive away. And whether I do or not, I always make it look like I took a photo of their number plate. Um, then they know somebody is actively caring about that area and disapproving of what they do, and there may be a consequence for them for illegal dumping. I know that's rare and extreme, but the more common things are when homeowners will, even though they're not supposed to, remove mature trees when they buy a new property. They just do. Well, I think it's time for neighbours to decide that they'll dob them in, and follow up with the council. Don't just make a report. Make sure the council do take action. I know this is a real Australian and it's a very, first world person privilege issue. But everywhere in the world we're losing biodiversity, and we're losing birds particularly at an astounding rate. So we need to do what we can to protect them. And people do better in life when they're connected to nature. So that's really where I'm going with this. Janice, what's going on in your neck of the woods? Let me know what's. Are you planting things, Janice? You know, the other thing you can do is when you do grow something in your own place, you can then learn new skills of propagating and pruning, correct pruning to maintain your garden, and then you can help people around you who may not have those skills or even that interest. You can just plant a seed. I know that's corny, but if you can just help other people get a little bit interested in their patch, we'll all be better off for it. So, adopt an area, adopt a positive attitude of stewardship, grow something, herbs, vegetables, something for flowers, bonsai, anything. Start growing something, because every plant gets used by something else. And protect, if you can, what you have around you. And please, if you're a landowner, or if you're a landscape contractor, or if you're a maintenance person, just think twice before you remove something. And I saw another mature street tree taken down. It just didn't seem to have any reason. It wasn't large enough to fall on anything if it was damaged. And even if it was damaged, we know hollows are important. Trees need to rot out. If we don't allow for regeneration of hollows, over time we're going to lose all of the hollow dependent species, and we need to just be a bit forward thinking. So let me reiterate. Reiterate on an offer for you. All of these seeds that I'm collecting and the cuttings that I'm taking from around my area of plants that I see birds particularly using and very, very partial to, I'm propagating them, and then they will be offered as a habitat gardening selection to members of that particular tier of membership. So you can find that at thebirdemergency.com/coffee, thebirdemergency.com/Patreon, and later in the day, the support page will be live, thebirdemergency.com/support. So would love to see you take up that offer. There's also a new merch design which will be offered only to members, which is my Desolation Dodo. And if you would like to see what that is, I'll just run the intro video, because it has the Desolation Dodo. Desolation Dodo will be available on mugs, keep cups. I think it fits on the keep cup, t-shirts, hoodies, and maybe some other items, but initially t-shirts, mugs, keep cups, and a hoodie. So this is what it looks like. There we go. You see that? We'll put it up again. There we go, the Desolation Dodo. We have another comment. Janice. The council has been busy around here recently pruning the large gum trees that survived the Christmas storms last year. Now, are they pruning them well, Janice? That's a bugbear of mine sometimes, that the pruning is often more detrimental than not. It may well be beneficial pruning, especially if a lot of the boughs have been broken, snapped off. That can reduce the intrusion of disease, which can keep the tree healthy. But it just goes to show that it's taken, that's about a year, isn't it? That it's taken a year for them to take stock and to come around and do that maintenance. I'm unwilling to criticise councils that are doing the right thing and that have really switched on horticulturists and arborists on the teams. It's excessive. Janice, I obviously haven't seen it and don't know, but it would be interesting if it's being supervised by an arborist, or if it's not. And I think that's one of the big issues in local government, certainly in Australia, and I know it's common in other parts of the world where privatisation and competitive tendering and things like that have become the norm, and vegetation is managed to a budget rather than managed for the health of the vegetation. So yeah, I'm prepared to accept that it could be either way, but after such a natural disaster, that's when the thinking needs to be switched on about how do you replace what has been lost, and also how do you increase the resilience of the local environment to natural disasters, because we're going to be getting more and more natural disasters. Loz has decided that my blue charger cord is very, very interesting. He really likes blue and he really likes red. So that would be it. Oh, we've got another. Oh, thanks for that like there, Janice. All right, that was really what I wanted to say. I just decided to come on and talk about what I'm seeing around my patch, and instead of being focused on the negativity, just reinforcing that everybody can do something, everybody can grow something, and everybody can be actively participating in protecting their local neighbourhood, the environment that they live in, and the habitats contained, even if they're micro habitats, contained within their local neighbourhood to make life good for birds, for butterflies, for bees, for beetles, for spiders, for worms, for possums, for gliders, if you're lucky enough to have some, for the bats, for everything. So, because everything needs something else to survive. So we need all of these things. And it's good for us. It's good for us if we're connected with nature. So that's about what I wanted to say. If you're interested in the merch, there's a whole bunch that's about to drop. And if you do avail yourself of one of the memberships, it really does help me. I generally use the stuff that I get to help someone else. And I'm really looking forward to growing more of these plants to share with the Habitat Gardeners, part of the bird emergency community. So, yeah, I really do hope that you will avail yourself of that ability. Oh, I might add too, for November, anyone who joins in November, instead of getting a dozen plants, you'll get 24 plants. And so that's something to bear in mind. I think I worked it out that if you join this month, I think the plants are going to cost you something like $1.22, above the cost of a regular membership. So that is what we'd like to do. The other thing I'd ask you to do is I'm really trying to increase the numbers on YouTube, because YouTube allows me to do many more things than the other platforms do. So if you are not already following the Bird Emergency or subscribed to the Bird Emergency on YouTube, please do. Please do. I would appreciate that greatly if you like the content. And there's hundreds of interviews and panels up there now. Thanks, Janice and Donna. I'm Grant. I'm a bird nerd. Friday afternoon. Friday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. We've had to reschedule the remote island, offshore island conservation interview with Elizabeth, or Biz Bell, from Wildlife Management International. She'll be joining me from London this time, not from New Zealand, but from London. So that's Friday night, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and that's GMT plus 11 if you're in another part of the world. And Biz has 30 years of experience working a lot with seabirds and invasive species and weed eradication and protection strategies. Biz has got a lot to talk about. So join us for that. And Habitat Gardening will be Saturday morning, 9:30 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. A flowering calendar for the year for encouraging birds and other nectar feeders. So that's what we'll be looking for on Saturday. Look, I hope you'll join me then. See on, do subscribe or follow on any platform where you see the Bird Emergency. Oh, we're doing Blue Sky now, and Blue Sky is fun. So you can find the Bird Emergency on Blue Sky. See ya.